Hey, what's going on, guys? Scott McNally here with Think Big Bodybuilding Media, and today we're going to do a Stem Cells 101, I'll call it. Basically, this is a topic I wanted to learn more about, and I figured why not do it here on the program so that we can both learn together. So today we talk with Adam Lamb. He is the clinic director over at Regenerative Revival. They specialize in stem cells as well as PRP and amniotic fluid injections. So Adam comes on to discuss what each one of these techniques are. We talk about the pros and the cons. We talk about where stem cells are harvested from, all the way to the cost of these treatments, which, hey, none of this stuff is going to be cheap, right? But if it could benefit me and keep me training longer, then it's definitely something that would be worth investigating. Guys, if you enjoy this, if you feel like you learned something, do me a favor, hit the like button. And hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We have several programs coming out each week. So if you click the notification bell, you can stay up to date with everything coming out. Question of the day: have you guys considered stem cells, or have you had any stem cell treatment done? If so, share with me your experiences. So to start us out here then, can you tell me what are stem cells exactly? Where do these things come from? I know there's various types. What do you use? I'll stop there. I'm starting to ask a bunch of questions at once.
Yeah.
So what are they?
I'll guide you down the trail. So like a lot of times, I'll tell you first what they're not, because most of the time in conversations when I talk to people, they thought they had stem cells and they didn't.
Okay.
Right. So there's PRP, which is where we draw your blood, we spin it, we take that platelet-rich plasma off the top, we re-inject it into you. Guys like 40 and under, it's actually not a bad thing, but that isn't stem cells. But what it does is it creates a response in your body to draw your natural stem cells there.
Okay, I've had this done.
Yep.
I had a dental implant. They used PRP. Yep. Whether it worked or not, whether it helped or not, I'm not sure. But
it can, right? So we have a lot of college basketball, or just about to go top high school player, but he's got bad knees. Yeah. He's going into college. He's a top player down here in Texas, and so we did both his knees with PRP.
Okay,
and his stuff, it's spin it back in because he's young. He's got it right, and so I mean, the first week not great. 2 weeks later, the kid's like, we had to remind him like, slow down.
Yeah.
Injury, you don't want to re-injure. You want to let it heal, but he's still got to play. He's still got to perform, and so PRP is great, but that's not stem cells, right?
Okay,
and then. There's stem cell therapy, which historically when they started doing this is drawing it from your hip using bone marrow and reintroducing it, or using it from a third party. And they've done some cancer treatments with that, right? And so we don't do that. That's stem cell therapy. So if someone says they're doing stem cell therapy and they're not actually drawing it like from the bone marrow, they're not delivering properly what they actually do.
Gotcha.
So the FDA is really coming down on that stuff. And so I try to be as PC as possible, so to speak, just to follow the FDA's guidelines, because so many people getting in this space, because look, you can make good money in it, right? So any place you can make anybody's out there just trying to make a buck, and they're just doing a bad job, which gives it a bad name. And to just not go too far out, but I was talking to one of the medical kind of healthcare lending companies, and they stopped working with stem cell clinics because so many people were disappointed with the treatment. And the reason they're disappointed is the people treating them don't know what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
It's beyond just giving an injection. So anyway, going back to it. So then a lot of people think stem cells is embryonic stem cells, right? From dead fetuses, aborted babies. Like, me, I wouldn't even be okay with that, period. Ethically, I'm not even okay with that. So, but secondly, until a child is fully born, those cells are not 100% specific to where they want to go.
Yeah.
So if you extract a cell from a fetus, and there's still places doing this on a research side. I know there's definitely in Florida, there's a couple places, and you get this, it's supposed to be nose tissue, and you inject it in your shoulder. That's likely going to become a tumor, right? Potentially cancer, because it's not 100% designed to where it's supposed to be, right? Designated where it's supposed to be. And so what we use is umbilical cord tissue, so that healthy mom, healthy baby, and for my kids, my son and daughter, we actually harvested their umbilical cords, not knowing what I know now, but I just knew, I was like, science, I was like, we might that might be something important later down the road.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You're like, this might save my shoulder one day. We
Yeah,
need this cord.
right. Or that, yeah, mainly for them, but I
Okay.
didn't realize it can be used. It doesn't need to be for any specific person can do it.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that a little bit more.
Okay.
And that's why the umbilical cord's great. So then you take the umbilical cord and you got to break that down, because there's the umbilical cord tissue.
Yeah.
There's umbilical cord blood. Cord tissue, a little bit more expensive. Cord blood, that's the other part of it, is like we use like the Rolls Royce of products.
Yeah.
Meaning it's the most expensive, but it's the best. But the outcomes are better, right? So cord blood, here's the problem with cord blood, is if that blood type isn't the same as your blood type, you're likely to get an immune response.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay.
But cord tissue, so like mom and baby, they don't even have to have the same blood type.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? I know my mom and I'd have a different blood type. So the cord, though, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have what's called HLA markers in it. So there's the odds of having a immune response is like zero with the tissue. So the umbilical cord tissue is the most rich source of living mesenchymal stem cells, along with all the growth factors, cytokines, hyaluronic acid, all those things that we need to like supercharge healing and recovery. And so, as design, the human design is when mom and baby's born, and these come from cesarean sections, by the way, not from regular birth, because the length of the cord is smaller.
Okay.
But what happens is design is that cord, when they go down the birth canal, it's actually squeezing the cord. It's pushing some of those stem cells back in mom and in baby to speed up both recovery.
Okay.
Right? So it's like by design. But through cesarean section, the cord's longer. I want to say it's 22 inches, and it's taken, it's harvested, and then it's minimally manipulated. So now we have, so we know what it is. It's the umbilical tissue. So it's the cord. It's the tissue that's used. Then it goes down to like the brand, right? So some companies will take that cord and make 400 vials out of it.
Okay.
Some companies will make 150 vials. Which one do you want?
Okay, so right? the 150 is, I think that's more concentrated, is what you're saying.
Exactly, right. And they measure it by milligram. And that's the difference too. But the one that I'm talking about, the 150, units out of like that product might be twice as much as the other one.
Okay.
But the clinics are selling the procedure at the same price.
Yeah.
And so for us, like doing that research and our team of docs and just reading this, the white pages behind it, like we only use the best product because we know that the outcome is going to be significantly better. And plus, we've even seen in some testing with some of these, even like the leading brand, having traces of hemoglobin in it, which is blood, which makes it not 100% tissue based. And that blood could also cause an immune response, right? So the last thing you want is someone to come in, you do a knee injection for them, their knee swells up because there's an immune response.
Sure.
The product's not 100%. Or, I mean, there's been issues where people have got super sick with like E. coli and stuff like that, just because not reputable places are producing these products.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So if somebody were to look for this treatment, how do they know what to ask for, what to look for? I mean, how do they know whether they're getting the 400, vials per cord or the 150?
Yeah, and they really don't. I mean, unless it was the specific product they could ask for. Okay. The product we use that we think is the best is Signature Biologics. That product is phenomenal, and we even recommend any other docs or anyone else listening to look into that product. Is the best product, right? And so, in our opinion, and so. That's one thing, is having that product, but then understanding the process and the procedure, meaning, what advice are they telling you? Like let's say you've had a cortisone shot 2 weeks ago. Anyone that treats you now either doesn't know that that's a bad time to treat you or doesn't care and just wants your money.
Okay.
So like we make sure you're 6 weeks out from any kind of, because a lot of these people that they get these pain shots, right? They get these steroid shots, they get the cortisone shots.
Yeah, stem cells aren't the first thing they went to do if they're having a problem.
Right. And so, and that's something that we're kind of challenged against too, because these people they want to get the shot and believe and feel great.
Sure.
Majority of our folks do feel better because the product that we use is a cushioning agent, right? So it is going in there, and it's a thicker cushioning agent, and then as it just regenerates the area, right? So I would say to go back to that is asking like what are the pre and post-op, and if they're like, no, nothing, just come on in and we'll take care of you.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And granted, sometimes, like if I was like, hey, Scott, when's the last time you had NSAIDs? And you're like, I don't know, like 2 months, like nothing. I don't, if you're not taking, so we want you off any anti-inflammatory because that inflammatory response going on in the area is what triggers the stem cells to regenerate faster.
Okay.
Right. So if you took Motrin this morning, well, it's shut off. It's not, the communication's not going to happen. So the response might not be as good, and potentially, and this is stuff they don't tell you, but potentially that stuff, all the goods you just put in that area could start looking for other areas to work on, not the area you came to. Right. And that's theoretical, but it makes sense. You know what I mean? And so that's just stuff that we can't concrete say like, well, it's going to go somewhere else, but we know that theoretically that they're going to go where they want to go, right? Based on what your body's communicating to them. So we want your body to communicate a problem in that specific area that we're treating.
Okay. So, as we stand now, with everything that we're doing with stem cells, is the FDA approving of this? Are they saying, hey, yeah, sure, you can use this. This will fix your pec?
No.
Okay.
And so it's approved in the sense of it's an approved treatment, especially for orthopedic stuff. You can use off-label. You can do it for off-label things.
Okay.
You just can't make off-label claims.
I see.
And that's where a ton of people got in trouble. People are like, oh, it'll fix Alzheimer's. It's like, dude, like, just there's a point of, like whether I believe it and I read studies, there's just stuff you can't do and say, right? Like I'm telling you about my friend Jonathan with the pec.
Yeah.
He's my boy. He came in, he got it done. Like he sent me a video. He's like, dude, this thing's game changer. See my buddy with his shoulder.
Yeah.
And even one of my best friends, his mom came in, she had hip issues, and she's 86 years old. Not a healthy woman.
Yeah.
But, I say not a healthy woman, like she's just not like out playing tennis, right? Like she's just like, watching TV, being unhealthy. And we did her right hip, and at the time we were like, both probably need it, but she's just the right, which is severe arthritis.
Yeah.
3 months later, she's like, my hip has no pain, but my left one does. So we treated her left hip, and now she's like, my hips haven't felt this good in 10 years.
Okay. Huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's in her 80s. You know what I mean? Someone who's not super healthy. So like when you get these athletes and things like that we work with, the recovery is so fast. And so even me personally, we did my Achilles tendon a year ago. That's what really got me fired up on this, because I was in pain for 12 months with a tear that wouldn't heal. So my body just wasn't doing what it was supposed to. We treated it with and actually we didn't have the specific product we use now. We had a more inferior product. And 30 days later, pain gone. 3 months later, I'm back to, and I'm a guy like after I work out, I might go sprint or I might go do some like box jump stuff. Dude, I couldn't even walk my dog.
Oh man.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And so 3 months later, I'm back to sprinting again, back to doing cardio, and back to doing those things like playing soccer with my son and stuff like that.
Wow.
And then actually just recently, my knee has been bad. And this is the other thing we'll go into too. So that's our top tier product.
Okay.
That's the stem cell product, right?
Yeah.
But what we do is regenerative medicine.
Okay.
Okay. So that might include that umbilical tissue allograft. The other thing that we do that's kind of in between that and like the PRP being the bottom thing, but it's better than nothing, and it can be quite a bit more affordable. But the middle of the road thing, which I actually just did for the first time last Wednesday, is amniotic fluid. So we have a product called Stem Cell Recruitment. It's amniotic fluid. So there's no living mesenchymal stem cells, but it has the cytokines, exosomes, hyaluronic acid, all the scaffolding stuff, that what we call the structural stuff, to help stimulate the body to bring this. It's called stem cell recruitment because it recruits your natural stem cells, but it's also supplying them with a bunch of the supplies to help redo it. So I had an issue with my knee. Like I couldn't even like do, if you're thinking like almost like a leg curl, leg curl.
Yeah.
That's how much I need. I don't know what they're called. I can't. But so, like a leg, I couldn't even do that. Even standing up and like trying to like lift my leg back behind me was like super painful in the inner side of my knee.
Yeah.
And so we did an amniotic fluid shot. That was a week ago, and like, dude, my knee's back.
No kidding.
Like it's there's a little, like, if I really put the pressure on, I can feel a little bit of what that pain was like. But I mean, it was like hard to get out of bed. It was like I was moving cautiously.
Yeah.
I haven't had a massage done last Friday, and I wouldn't let her do my leg because I was worried that it was going to hurt it. Okay. You know what I mean? Even a massage. And 1 week later with the amniotic fluid. And so that product's about half the price.
Okay.
So let's say you're like, our philosophy is like, if you're in pain and you came in here, you got to do something. You know what I mean? So if you can't afford the Rolls Royce, let's get you in the Mercedes. And if you can't afford the Mercedes, we'll get you in, the Cadillac. But if you're 60 years old, PRP is not going to do anything for you. I'm not taking your money. I'm not wasting your time. We're not here to just make a buck. We're here to like be the best, right? And so there's that. If you're over 40 and not in like peak physical, health, not just physical, I shouldn't say, but overall health.
Sure.
Sure. I call them like the Ben Greenfield people. We have a ton of Ben Green. We work with a ton of those. The people that follow him a lot of times are just crazy peak health, like nuts, which is, but anyway, if you're not super paying attention to your health, PRP is not going to work for you, right? If you're pretty unhealthy, a lot of these people we see were older, they might have type 2 diabetes, they're like overweight. So like they need a lot more of a charge to do it. And the umbilical cord tissue stem cell stuff
that's going to be the
way to
top
go. It doesn't care how old you are. It doesn't care how unhealthy you are. The other thing, smokers, that's that we see, like we actually won't treat smokers unless it's like they absolutely they don't care. Like we tell them, like, listen, the healing is going to be 50% of what someone else would be like if they're absolutely hell bent on doing it. I can't personally think of a smoker that we treated that we knew smoked, but I know of other smokers that have got treated and they don't get the results.
Really?
Right.
Okay.
And so. And it's not like the wasting of the money is one thing, but the other side is like for us, it's reputation, right? So when I think of like our clinic, Regenerative Revival, I want everybody that talks about it, thinks about it, or the things that we do, and we're looking to build multiple clinics throughout the country to be like, that's the spot. Those guys get the results, right? And so it's a partnership, though. You know what I mean? It's same as like, when you're coaching people, like that you can send them direction all you want, but if they're not going to follow their stuff, like you probably have to fire some people, right? Some clients. And we do the same thing on the hormone side. Like if you're making poor choices that it's compromising your health on our watch, you're out. We can't do that because we want to keep that reputation of delivering the best outcome. You didn't come with us just to like make a friend. You came to work with us regardless of what it is, whether it's coaching people or stem cells or HRT to get the outcome, right? Like people are watching you do this because they want to learn more stuff, right? So if you put videos out and they don't pay attention, they don't get to learn, right? So it's a partnership, and we really push that on everybody that we work with to make sure that they maximize all the things that we get. We give them a full 3-page, everything from here's the food you should eat, here's the food you should stay away from, right? Staying away from inflammatory foods, trying to have a more anti-inflammatory diet, and stay away from when we keep them out of hot tubs for I think 30 days now. Keep them away from anti-inflammatory, Advil, Motrin, that kind of stuff, NSAIDs for 30 days and all this kind of stuff, because it's so important all the way down to this. Listen to this. So when we thaw out that specific product, that it has to be injected in you within 10 minutes or those living cells die.
No kidding.
So if the practitioner doesn't even know that, well then, like let's say they let it thaw out before the patient comes in, it's just sitting on the tray and like those kind of things, like that patient's outcome is not going to be as good as it could be. And that person could turn into somebody who's anti-stem cells now, who thinks it's a waste of money, who thinks it didn't work because the process wasn't done properly.
Right on. So I guess, kind of following up with what my question was, I think a big part of it is going to be that you're not going to find, and this kind of segues to, you're not going to find a great deal. First of all, don't go price shopping on this. It sounds like it is going to be costly, but you're probably better off spending the money on a quality product, a quality service, than trying to get some type of a basement deal or, whatever is available out there. So what are we talking then? What are we? Wait, what's that?
My wife's getting LASIK done. She's supposed to get done Saturday unless it gets canceled. And she was like, shopping it around. I'm like, honey, you really want to get, you want the 50% off guy in your eyes? It's whatever. Go to the best.
Yeah.
So price wise, so it ranges. And so for us, and it ranges to, like I said, like the number one brand out there, which isn't the best product, is 50% of the cost of what our product is. Right. Okay. So, and then you have, you have to think too, just like anything with any, you got rent, you got, you're paying the practitioners, you have insurance. The insurance and the stuff, as you can imagine, is super high because it's like new. And so like you have to understand the cost of things, number one. But typically if you're going to get, so what we're able to do is like, if you're doing like, let's say just your one knee, we'll say one area, we call it, it's probably going to be about $4,000.
Okay.
What we do in our clinic is we usually charge a little bit more. It's probably like $4,500, but you do one knee and then 6 months later we have you come back and we have you do the amniotic fluid shot. We call it like the booster shot. So you've done the umbilical tissue, scaffolding shot to get it going, which is usually just enough, more than enough. 3 months, everybody's loves what they did.
Okay.
But we have them come back at 6 months if they want to, and then we do the amniotic fluid shot just to kind of spark that recovery even further, especially with our older folks that, they're not going to recover as well as you and I. And then that's included. So, but if we do two areas, it's, it doesn't always have to go to 8. There's usually a discount because it's like you're in the office, we got you there. So it's usually about $7,500. And so that's, both shoulders, both hips. And then from there, it's like $3,000 additional area. So you want to do like both your knees and both your hips, it's just keep adding $3,000. I mean, we've had people come in and do both shoulders, both hips, both knees. We've had a lot of that stuff.
All right. So from here, then, if somebody were interested, what's the best way they could reach out and find out more information?
Yeah. So any of your listeners, if they want to email me, Adam@regenerativerevival.com, I have no problem answering any question, anything, even hop on a call with them, just because to me, it is such a big investment.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that people aren't wasting their money. And listen, I know about 40 clinics throughout the country that do a stellar job like we do, right? And if they're close or someone says, hey, I want to work with you, that's where we have a lot of our hormone clients we work with nationwide. They're like, I've worked with you for 5 years. I'll just work with you. They'll fly in, we pick them up at the airport and everything. So reach out to me and I can help guide them if they're, depending on where they're at, where it might be a good clinic, or if just answering questions. Like, here's the deal, man. There's no stupid questions if you're spending $5,000.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's no stupid questions. And anyone that can't answer those questions, or you feel like they're offering you some kind of salesy BS question, because a lot of these clinics, dude, they're not chiropractors, because I think a lot of chiropractors are great guys, but they're a chiropractor clinic that's got like a sales guy, and the sales guy comes in, and it's different. Like when you come, like if you're not being assessed by like some sort of medical practitioner, like you're either at our office, either seeing an MD or a nurse practitioner. And to be honest with you, the nurse practitioners are way better injectors than any of our doctors are. And so, and it's, all injections are done ultrasound guided. That's another thing that we haven't talked about yet. So everything is ultrasound guided. So even in our office, our ultrasound is better. Downstairs is an imaging place that does X-rays, MRIs, and our ultrasound's better than theirs. And not that matters, but it does matter from like specifics when you're really looking at stuff.
Yeah.
So when people come in, let's say they come in for their knee and they got knee pain, they don't know why. We're looking at all these different things. We're looking like, oh, you have a meniscus tear, on your medial side or whatever. And this isn't my wheelhouse. This is their wheelhouse.
Sure.
Like, that's where the practitioners do their thing. But it's awesome to be able, because it's live. It's right there. We're going through there and seeing what, you do have, low amounts of cartilage and all these kind of different things, or there's fluid above the patella. So we'll drain that too while they're there. It's because, like I said, the goal is the best outcome. So there's a lot of that too, where I talk to people. I think of this woman, I had this friend of mine's mom, she got stem cells done, and she's like, that stuff didn't work. It cost me $3,000. Right. And so I was like, well, let's talk about it. So it was the same place she gets her pain shot. So the guy gave her a pain shot 2 weeks before. It's a huge no-no, the cortisone shot. That it kills the cells when you put them in there. And it wasn't ultrasound guided, and her knee swelled up, which means it wasn't tissue. It was probably cord blood, which is significantly cheaper. And so there's like all these things when we broke it down that it's just done the wrong way. Like question after question after question was all the wrong way, right? No, she had her knee, you know, some people too, like making sure they have a good knee brace if they need it, for example, in the knee, to get the knee realigned so that the healing realigns proper, right? Common sense stuff that's just like, people don't care. They're not paying attention to it. And so working with a clinic that really knows what they're doing is the game-changing thing. That
makes a lot of sense. That's something I think you're helping us here, because as it is, you know, I came into this not really knowing much. I don't know enough to jump into it myself just yet, but I definitely feel like I know a lot more, and I maybe know a few more of the questions that I would want to ask. You guys, your clinic, that you're in Texas, right? Where are you at?
Yeah, we're in Houston. We're about 20 minutes from the airport, from the Bush Airport.
All right.
So yeah, so if folks just fly in, we literally either, if it's a friend of mine, I try to pick them up at the airport. If it's not like a friend, we'll have a car service pick them up, bring them here, treat them. Sometimes we'll grab lunch, and then they'll take them back to the airport and they go home.
Right on, man.
Same day, in and out. Yeah,
that sounds easy. So I've got to ask you one more thing. Before we started talking, you told me that you could give us a tour. You could show us what the product looks like.
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh, I'm pumped. This is going to be cool. I got to see what this stuff looks like.
Okay. So what we use here is, I call it the $6,000 Yeti cooler.
Okay.
So it's -80, the freezer.
Holy shit.
Sterling Cord Ultra freezer. Let me get it locked. I got the key in here. And so we'll keep it locked just so the cleaning people don't get curious. It's expensive. And so then we go inside here.
Holy cow.
And so this is the amniotic fluid product.
Okay.
So this comes in here, and then down below, and we usually just get this stuff replenished every week, just based on who's coming in. And so then this is the actual product. So it's sealed. I mean, all this stuff, it's got an envelope. So like when you get the treatment done, this is assigned to you. There's a sticker that goes on your treatment record with us.
Yeah.
There's a sticker that goes back to the lab in the event there is ever an event. And I know like this particular company has used north of 10,000. They've taken care of north of 10,000 people and not had any sort of issue.
Yeah.
So that's very, very promising. And that's one of the reasons why we use them, is we know that they do their due diligence through it. So as we get older, like a newborn baby, 1 in 10,000 cells is a stem cell. At 50, it's like 1 in 400,000.
Oh, no kidding.
That's why when we die of old age, it's because it's degeneration, right? So if we keep loading ourselves up with regenerative stuff, and that's, the other part of it too, we always have the saying of, you don't want to put, crystal clear water into a rusty can, right? And so that's where, with everybody also we work with, we do their blood work. And then at their 1 week follow-up call, we review their labs and make recommendations based on some things they could do lifestyle-wise, even hormone-wise, to have a better recovery, because it's an expensive investment. But it's not something you just throw against the wall and hope it sticks. There's some methods behind it so you can really the best success.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for your time today, Adam. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for the tour, too. I was really curious to see what everything looked like. I wasn't disappointed either with the cooler and the smoke coming out of it. It was all I could hope for,
Cool. Yeah, it is. And it's funny because I think a lot of us are like kids at heart, right? So even, we had a lady in here yesterday we treated, and she had her grandson with her. I'm like, come here, let me show you something. He's like, whoa, and I'm like, I know, high five. I was like, I know, it is cool. And, but yeah, it's neat, man. It's really cool to help other people find a solution, especially like, you're thinking of a hip replacement or knee replacement or something like that. Like, it's scary, man, compared to like, give this a shot first.
Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of people cancel certain major surgeries because this has worked for them, like just in 3 months. So, any questions any of your, viewers have, just email me or find me somewhere on social media, and I'd love to answer questions.
We'll have Adam's contact information in the show notes, as well as the website if you guys want to go check it out. Regenerative Revival. This is Adam Lamb. I'm Scott McNally, guys. Thanks for watching another episode of Think Big, Bodybuilding Media and Advices Radio. Adam, thanks for your time, brother.
Thank you.